Okay, we're back and we're looking at the second part, which is siblings in the house. And they give us 10 students and in Tyler's class, and they want us to make a dot plot showing how many siblings each person had. We're going to find out what the typical student would be, as how many siblings they had as the typical. And then they also talk about the mean, so the average, and find out, is it better to use the average or mean or the typical? What describes the data better? So let's go ahead and switch over to this tab. All right, so I've made a dot plot of this information, and we're seeing the students. So some people had no siblings, some people had one sibling, a couple people had two siblings, one person had 7 siblings, and one person had 10 siblings. So quite a big difference. Let's go ahead and think about what the typical person had in this class. So I'm going to color that yellow. With typical being most of the students were on the lower end, I would say typical would be somewhere around 1. So the typical person in this class had at least one sibling. Now for mean, we need to find out how to calculate the mean. So when we do that, we add up all the scores. So we have like 0 plus 0 plus 0, plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, plus 2 plus 2, plus 7 plus 10. And when we add those up, we're going to get 24. And you can do that on your own. You can add up all these points and just check me. And then you divide that by the number of scores. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There were 10 people in the class. So we're going to divide that by 10. 24 divided by 10 works out to be 2 and 4 tenths. So the typical person, or the typical person had about 1, but the average person in this class had 2.4 siblings. Now, it's kind of hard to have 2 and a fourth of a sibling, or 2.4 siblings wouldn't be a fourth. But what happens is that mean is that balance point. So that if we took the siblings away from this person and spread them out to the people who didn't have siblings, and the person over here took those siblings and give them to them, everybody would balance out to 2.4 siblings. So when we think about what is better to represent this information, and like if you wanted to summarize it, would you say the people in the class had each person had typically one sibling, or would you say each person had 2.4 siblings when you were really summarizing? What makes more sense? Well, I would say that this would not be how I would describe what's going on in this class, because so many people, look at all these people that don't have that many siblings. That's most of the class. What we're finding is these people with all these lots of siblings, which is great that they have a big family, but it's kind of throwing off the average in this class. I would say that typical at 1 is where we really would probably describe this information. Go ahead and pause this video and read the next part 3, because it's going to talk about why would we use that typical, and what could we kind of explain that as in a statistical term. And this is going to keep us going with the same sibling information.